What's that in the sky? It's a chorus? It's a rotary? It's a phaser? No, it's Univibe. Hello, my name is Will, and this is a Rocket Complex, and welcome to A Guitarist's Guide to Univibe. Univibe is one of my all-time favorite modulation effects. In fact, it's the only guitar modulation effect on my pedal board right now. It's confused with so many other things, and it's not your fault, and it's not its, because it's mislabeled on the pedal sometimes. But we'll get into that in due time. If you didn't know, A Rocket Complex is a band, and we have some brand new music out. Our cover for Last Time of the Midnight Kids is out on YouTube right now. You can click on the link in the iCard above if you'd like to watch it. Or if you want to add one of our songs to a playlist you listen to all the time, that's probably the best way that you can help out A Rocket Complex. Please do that now. They're linked in the description. For modern guitar players, it doesn't really matter if the Univibe was originally built as a replacement for a rotary cabinet, or like the story goes, it was originally built to emulate the sound of where radio waves bounce off the ionosphere and recombine inside a radio set. But at a high level, a Univibe is an imperfect phaser. But the Univibe is like a phaser in the same way that a Tubescreamer is like a Big Muff. I know that sounds really reductive, but let me say a sentence, one for the gain effects, and then I'll say it again for the phase effects, and this might help you kind of get it a little bit. A Tubescreamer and a Big Muff are both gain effects. They use cascading gain stages in their design, but the technology used in them and the way that they are set impart specific characters to the sound, making them different effects. Let's do the same with a Univibe and phaser. The Univibe and a phaser are both phasing effects. They use cascading phase stages in their design, but the technology used in them and the way they are set impart certain characteristics to the sound, making them very different effects. So what are some characteristics of a Univibe and a phaser? It's probably going to be a little bit easier to show you. Here I am in Logic and I'm running white noise into a Univibe plugin into this scope, and then I'm running on a separate channel white noise into a phaser plugin into this scope. And when we're in the spectrograph mode, we can see something pretty similar. There's some points on the waveform where it's dipping in volume as the phase is moving up and down. And that's pretty similar between the two of them, but the real story gets told when we switch to sonograph. The Univibe is a 4-stage phaser, so for good comparison, I've set the phaser plugin to a 4-stage mode. Let's check out the phaser first, and we can see that the waveform is way more triangle shaped. We can also see the two phase cancellation points are really close together. But when we compare that to the Univibe, we see that the waveform is way more like a sine wave. The peak is also bigger than the trough. And with a lot of Univibes that I've tested with this method, sometimes it moves in and out of the audio spectrum. So whilst a Univibe is a 4-stage phaser, in practice, they're actually really different effects. So why listen to me when I tell you that a Univibe is a phaser and not a chorus? The eagle-eyed among you would have noticed in the intro demo video that the volume on the Viscous vibe was all the way down. What I've actually done there is really interesting. So I've made my own tone print with the Viscous vibe, and I've actually remapped, in my opinion, the almost useless volume knob to actually be a chorus mix. So now we can compare the Univibe to a chorus on the exact same pedal. So let's hear some sound examples from an upcoming A Rocket Complex song. This song is going to be called Terra Firma when it comes out, and we'll listen to the intro here where I used Univibe Super Heavy. I had it set more like a tremolo, but one you can play through because it uses phase instead of amplitude. of the great things about the Univibe effect is that you can often change the time very quickly on some of those devices through tap tempo, through an expression pedal, but here on the Viscous Vibe, I'll be holding down the foot switch to make a ramped effect, kind of similar to how you would use a rotary effect, but again, it's phase rather than time on a rotary. There is much debate about where the Univibe goes in your signal chain. One of the great examples and someone who used Univibe so much and popularized it is Jimi Hendrix. He had his Univibe after his fuzz, but it's interesting to try and flip it before as well. And we'll be doing this with the Keeley Monterey, so thank you very much to PMT Portsmouth for letting me borrow the pedal. A Univibe also has a mode where you can use it as a vibrato. It's not my favorite sound. I much prefer doing vibrato with time instead of phase here on the Univibe. But I think it's super interesting and a lot of people get a lot of great use out of this effect too. So that is Univibe. What an amazing guitar effect! I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope this gave you some ideas on how to use Univibe. If you liked the video, a positive rating would be appreciated. But if you really want to help out a Rocket Complex, you can add some of the songs that were played in this video maybe to a playlist you listen to all the time. So I'll play us out with the solo from Freshen Up, a Rocket Complex track which used Univibe really heavily in the solo. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.